Today's video is going to be what you need to know about Battlefield. Tips and tricks, monsters to use, and 2 different ways you can go about it. To win Battlefield currently, all you need is a Fire Desert Queen Sekhmet and use her 3rd skill. And that's it for today's video. Nah, I'm just kidding. Kinda. If you like my videos and like all my content, hit the sub button, hit the like button, hit that bell dingy dingy thing so you know when I post a video. Let's go, baby. Tip of the day. Supposedly 50% of the stuff I talk about is BS, so let me give you a tip of the day that's on the good side of the 50%. Battlefield UI is kind of atrocious, especially on mobile. On PC it's a little bit easier, but this huge tip revolves targeting. Targeting sucks in this game. I feel like targeting box should be on the right side, especially on mobile because you're moving with your left thumb. You got your skills on your right thumb, but then you got to stop moving the target or take your hand and do all this cross. It's stupid. However, if you go into the cogwheel, this menu will come up. What I highly suggest you do is to turn off show enemy monster right there. What this does is only lets you see summoners in the target box. It'll also show you the creatures that are on the field too, which are important in Battlefield. But this is huge because once you kill that summoner, all the monsters die as well. You'll thank me later. Also, another huge tip, go into your game settings and turn lock on when selecting a target unused, or you could do boss, it doesn't matter. The most annoying thing is when you target a summoner or it automatically targets for you because it attacks you, it'll turn on the auto lock feature for the camera, and while you're moving, it can really mess you up. Alright, there's 2 different ways to go about Battlefield. You can go the PvE route. The main route is the PvP portion. I don't get to play this as much as I want to. I try to do at least 3 a day, but sometimes I don't have time or I can't manual the game during these certain times. But the biggest thing you want to do and focus on is getting kills. In the Moon Shadow shop, it really depends on how many Devil Mons you get, is your rank, and how many kills you get. The higher rank you are, you get the one-time purchase of the Devil Mon. I just hit night 1, so I'm buying this for sure. Free Devil Mon. Whoopee! However, over time, once you get that rank, the rank stays on you and you get a monthly purchase. You'll be able to buy 2 extra Devil Mons a month. One from Warrior 3 and the other from War Hero. Warrior 3, you need 1,000 kills, and War Hero, you need 2,000 kills. Once you get to those ranks, you really just want to focus on winning, because you'll get more soul stones and you'll get more victory seals. You always want to focus on winning, but really I would highly recommend just going for kills. I'm going to move over here real quick so you can see the map. A lot of people ask, what's the unrefined sky stones? How do you refine them? Once you get unrefined sky stones in Battlefield by mining, killing creatures, or killing players, or hitting pots, you want to go to one of these 4 locations that have a merchant bag. This is an area that has a purple aura around it. As you can see here, if you have sky stones above you, it'll have a number of how many unrefined sky stones you have. Once you stand in the aura, the timer goes up, and once it's completed, the sky stones will be refined. You will get a message that you have done it. There's a couple different buffs that you want to look out for on the field as well. They have blue beams sticking up, but some are attack, some are move speed. They're really good. Make sure to pick those up. If an enemy has sky stones above their head, if you kill that enemy, the sky stones will drop and come to you. If one of your monsters are dead, you can actually use a revived monster to revive that monster. If you actually have a dead monster but you take it off your formation, you will not be able to res that monster. So if you start out with a resing monster, that's perfect. If anyone dies, he can res them. But if you take them off of your formation, you will not be able to res them as they're dead throughout the whole time. As you can see here, my Helia is dead. You cannot bring it back. There's a couple different ways to get unrefined sky stones. You can mine them at these nodes here. You can hit the small pots. They give you sky stones as well. There's a lot of small pots. You can get a good decent amount just in the beginning by hitting the small pots. As you see on the map, there's a big red skull. All the creatures on the map drop unrefined sky stones. The bigger monsters give more, the smaller ones give less. BS, obviously. As you see, there's a smaller creature here. I kill that, I get some unrefined sky stones. There's also the bigger pots, which give more unrefined sky stones than the smaller ones. Let's talk about kills. I highly suggest not to queue solo. I usually queue solo out of time, but you really want at least a 3-man team so you guys can coordinate and do things together as a team. You are better off in numbers against enemies. Some of the biggest things to talk about in PvP and Battlefield is getting a buff stripper to remove buffs, doing like a beneficial block effect so that other enemies cannot get buffs, especially with all the cleaves running around. Cleaves are just ridiculous. Even with high resistance and Orbia having a strip, she only strips 1 buff. She will apply the beneficial block effect. However, the problem with that is even with 75% accuracy, I miss the strip half the time, and it's a single beam which they can move out of easily if they are just paying attention. And that's why Sekhmet is by far the ultimate Soul Link monster in Battlefield, and really in PvP in general. If you ever own Soul Link, you can use it twice, because as you can see, it's a 4 mana cost. And really, you can use it 3 times if you're watching the enemy's buffs. If they don't have a buff, don't use the 3rd skill. If they do have a buff, use the 3rd skill. It'll remove the buffs and apply a defense break. Then they can reapply buffs. Like for me, for instance, I have Chloe as my Soul Link so that Orbia has a least chance to die. Like for me, I use invincibility once. If they strip it, then I use it again. Hopefully they didn't put a beneficial block effect on me. But then again, they can have Sekhmet and reuse this skill, steals the buffs and applies another defense break, and then Orbia gets one-shotted. If you really want to excel in PvP and Battlefield, Fire Desert Queen Sekhmet, currently right now in the state of the game, is a truly must-need. As you see though, I don't use Fire Desert Queen, so what I typically run is Chloe, Bastet, and Karambit. Now on the Korea server, Karambit doesn't go through Endure anymore, so that sucks. Hopefully by that time, I can have someone else to use, possibly a Sekhmet. However, this is what I'm using currently, and it's working pretty decently. I use Light Orbia, so if I need to strip and I can hit that single beam, and hopefully I remove a buff so I can apply a block beneficial effect. And if I don't, then the Karambit is doing its thing on the summoner. One thing I didn't pay attention to though is in PvP Battlefield, make sure that your monster's AI has the focus target selected. I want Karambit to be attacking the same person as I am. When should you go refine your unrefined sky stones that you have? Really when you get over like 1500 for example, or even if you're looking at the mini map and there's a lot of enemies around you, go to a different side of the map and go refine your sky stones. As you can see, I have 3000, so I need to get rid of them as soon as possible. So what I do is go to one of the 4 purple areas to refine my sky stones so that they can't get at the enemy. We don't want the enemy to get the unrefined sky stones. Well, if I don't have Sekhmet, what else can you use? If you pulled on the Fire Oracle's banner, you can use Juno. If you have Chiwu, you can use that. Chiwu is really good because you can remove the beneficial effect on the 3rd skill and then apply a beneficial block effect on the 2nd. Ramahan is really good. You can use him. You really want monsters that can for sure 100% strip. Obviously, resistance and accuracy come into effect, but you want to use monsters that have a guaranteed at least. Just for example, Seal, she doesn't have any right chance, like the percentage that she'll remove the buff. But there's creatures like Light Serpent only have a 57% chance to remove the buff. You want to try to guarantee it as much as possible. Or for example, like beneficial block effect. Some are better in PvE than they are in PvP. For example, Sync is really good, but not really in Battlefield or PvP. For one, it's only a 75% rate chance. However, his attacks, if you ever watch him, they are super slow. And people tend to run away a lot. But you want someone, like I said, that at least try to guarantee block beneficial effect, like Fire Lizard, for example. There's no percent rate chance. It's just fighting accuracy versus resistance. That's why Sekhmet is so good, because there's no percent chance to do it, and it steals all, not just one. It steals all beneficial effects. Skill animations are a huge factor in PvP. A lot of people don't talk about that. So if you're looking for a monster to do what you need to do, check out the skill animations too. A good tip to note as well is when you're fighting someone, yeah, you should always go after the summoner mainly to see how strong they are. If you kill the summoner, they all die, like I said. However, if you run into someone multiple times in Battlefield and it's a decent opponent or they're stronger, what you can do is kill their monsters off, because they either have to A, stop for a little bit and go and res their monster, or B, they might not have a res monster available. But mainly overall, you definitely want to go straight for the summon. I'm going to tell you how I typically start off an engagement with an enemy. So with I using Chloe, Bastet, and Karambit, I typically go for invincibility first right when the engagement happens, and I watch my buffs and debuffs. If they remove my buff, I'll then go and use invincibility. If one of my monsters or myself needs a heal, I'll use the heal. With Chloe, if my health is low, I will use the heal and I still get invincibility, which is really good. But I apply the invincibility and the buffs, and then I try to remove buffs from the enemy or apply a block beneficial effect. Once I do that, then I try to just damage down the enemy. I have the skill where I can dash 3 times, so if I need to dash away from like a Cleef or get out of the range of an Orbia, then I will do that. This sometimes confuses Orbia players 100%, but Cleefs are just running around like face smash and stuff anyway. But yeah, I always start off an engagement. A lot of people run. Move speed is really good here too, or a root if you have it, because a lot of people, if they are soloed out from the rest of their team, they will run to their enemy teammates. So if you can stun, root, slow, whatever you can, it's highly beneficial. One key note as well is you always want to keep an eye out on the mini-map 100% of the time. I always have the mini-map and the target box on the top left. That's so I can click on targets that I want to, and I can see any enemies that are coming around, because I can start mining here, for example, and I know that there's no one around me, and I have teammates on an enemy behind me, and there's 2 teammates farther out, so I have nothing to worry about currently. But yeah, if you follow these tips, you will be able to be somewhat successful in Battlefield depending on what your progress is in the game. But the main goal of Battlefield is to win. You get more Sky Stones, but ultimately you want those kills for the shop, because that's what matters, and we need Devilmons for our Nat 5s. And then you end up like a free-to-play MVP like me. Quick talk about the scoreboard. If you want to get to the top of the leaderboard, which you kind of do, but the first half of the points is kills, the second half is refined stones. If you lose the match, you only get 5,000 Sky Stones. The top 3 players get more Sky Stones than the rest. If you win a match, you get 10,000, but like I said, top 3 get more, and also the top 3 get more victory seals as well, which are important. It's a great place for gold as well, 50,000 for winning the match, and only 25,000 for losing. But still, if you at least try to do your 3 matches a day, you can get anywhere between 75,000 to 150,000 gold. So like I said, don't solo queue if you can. Get into groups of 3. You guys can coordinate, attack the same focus target. You can also stay in the group together and use each other's buffs. Be a team player. That's it for today's video, for real this time. I hope this Battlefield guide helps you, and if you like my videos and like my content, sub, like, ding ding bell. I'll see you in the next one. Peace!